Michelle is a musician with albums released as Everyone Except Me and artist behind the post-apocalyptic webcomic Stray Cats. She's kind, a bit shy, and furiously creative. Henrique is a filmmaker with over 24 films and TV shows as producer, director, and occasionally host. He also released a couple of music albums. He's bombastic, larger than life, and tenacious almost to a fault. Together, they've been best friends for a decade. This show is awkward.
From what I understand, you are sweating profusely. How much sweat are we talking?
Just the normal amount of sweat when someone sweats a lot, I guess.
So, I'm not sure. I actually don't sweat very much. I don't know if you know that about me.
I don't know. I actually don't know if I did know that.
Well, I don't stink very easily. Like, it takes days of body odor for me to stink. It's really weird.
That's
it's not a humble brag either. I mean legitimately, like, I can forget deodorant for a day and it's fine.
That's nice of the bacteria under your arms.
I don't know why. I also don't have bad morning breath.
That's good. Yeah.
Again, I don't know why. Not a humble brag. It's just a weird thing. I dated a girl who said that it frustrated her that I just seem to never stink.
Oh.
And I told her that's because I'm a professional. So, but the reason you are sweating is because I have roped you into doing a podcast with me.
Yeah,
is that fair?
among other things, I'm sure. I'm in a pretty high stress mood. But the sweat, that's definitely part of it. And I do smell when I sweat. So it's really nice that no one else is here because it overwhelms my deodorant pretty quickly. So
do you remember when I had to give that speech about my friend Andy? I had to give a speech, because he won an award, but he'd passed away already. And that was one of the only times in my life that I literally felt my deodorant fail.
Yeah, stress sweat is a real thing.
Yeah, I had never felt my deodorant. Like I wear really high quality antiperspirant.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just felt like, oh, the sweat's just pouring past it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. The dam has been broken. So do you usually sweat when you're nervous?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that my body does. And I sweat way worse. I sweat all the time too.
I think that's a human thing.
Really?
I mean, some of us, I guess, we roll in mud to try to cool off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Or you just sweat from the palms of your hands or something, or yeah.
Oh, I get sweaty palms when I'm really nervous.
I don't. My hands are pretty dry, but yeah, I definitely sweat significantly more when I'm nervous, and it is just a totally different thing, and it always happens in public and around people, except for right now. So.
Oh, well, has anybody ever said, like, man, you smell?
No, I think people are just too, yes. But it was like one of those things where like I had to hear like third hand about it because everybody is too polite to say it directly to me, which is not great, honestly.
I mean, it's not good to stink out loud, I guess, but so. I figured that would be a good topic to talk about because the show itself makes you kind of nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing because you're worried you won't have anything interesting to say.
Yes, as we've proven already.
Well, so I didn't want the first episode of this to be about us doing a show because I thought that was too on the nose. But so the second one is what did you think when I was like, hey, Michelle, I want to do a podcast with you?
I think when you originally told me, I was like almost having an anxiety attack about something.
About something else?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, okay, there's more things now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's not like you knew. I don't think I had been like, hey, I'm doing really, really bad right now. And you were like, let's do a podcast.
I knew that you were stressed about work quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't know necessarily beyond that. I try to read the room, but it's not always easy. But now that you've done it a little bit, do you still feel like the sweating is warranted? Like, are you still sweating from nerves?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unless it just hasn't dried, but I think I'm still sweating. I mean, it's been a little while, so I should know. I still don't think that I'm going to say anything interesting. So,
well, when you perform music in front of people,
yes,
as often as you can,
yes,
relatively,
sort of.
Do you feel like? I mean, how is it different?
It's. I mean, the only real difference is that I kind of go into it having an idea of what I'm going to do. More or less. I mean, not always. And I don't know. I think just the idea of this being, because this is more like just recording music, and that makes me very nervous. I think it's just the idea of something being consumed later. Like if this was not a podcast but some sort of weird lecture, like we were just in a lecture hall doing this in front of people, I actually think that would be easier for me.
Oh, because it doesn't exist later?
Yes, it just goes away, and also I can feed off other people, which is not something I can do right now, and I don't know where my cat is.
Audience reaction is like a huge help.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest parts about making movies, is that you don't have that at all.
Yeah.
You have to kind of assume where people are going to like something, and assume where they're going to be. Yeah, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
But so, because one thing I've noticed about you, because how would you describe yourself, like as far as like socially?
I don't know, like not good.
I mean, like, do you like to describe yourself as kind of shy or quiet, or like how do you describe yourself, like in your own words?
So I mean, I guess I would describe myself as an introvert, but I mean, in the sense that like I don't really know, but I guess more accurately that I have pretty bad social anxiety, and that like being around other people makes me incredibly nervous, especially when there's a lot of them. People.
Yeah. Is there like a ceiling to that though? Like, is there a point where like if you're I mean, is it the same if you're performing, or is it totally different?
It's totally different.
Okay.
It's like it like is kind of reversed at that point. It's more that I have trouble in a setting where I don't know what I'm supposed to do. If someone was like, hey, even if it was like a party, but someone was like, hey, okay, you have to go to this party, and when you get to the party, you have to sit here for 5 minutes, and then you got to talk to this person for 5 minutes, and then you can leave. That actually might be better than just being like, you're going to this place and do a thing now because it's fun.
You know what? That's funny, because that's how I am with parties too.
Yeah. Huh.
Which you might, I mean, me pretty well to know that I have a decent amount of anxiety. A lot of people assume that I don't. They assume I'm just kind of fine with stuff because I guess I appear effortless, which is a very big compliment. For somebody to say like, you just seem so effortlessly friendly or effortlessly funny or whatever. I'm like, thank you. You noticed me. But like, I feel very similarly. When I go to a party, I feel like I'm not supposed to draw attention to myself. Mm-hmm. I don't think I think yours is a little different, and feel free to share. But like, I feel like I'm used to being the center of attention if I'm throwing an event, whether it's a party or, a movie premiere or the very rare, live music thing I do or whatever. Mm-hmm. At that point, it's like, yeah, I'm supposed to like yell at the top of my lungs, get everybody to look my direction and try to make them laugh. But if I'm at a party, I feel like that's me being like inappropriate. Like that's me being needy and demanding and not a friend or not like a person.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like in any group of people, like, I mean, I excuse me, sort of similar to that. I just feel like, if there's maybe one other person, I can have a conversation, and maybe we should try to like be more or less equal. But after that, if there's more than that, I just feel like I should not talk. And that like everyone else's ideas and opinions should really be forefront, and that like if making it any more about me is me not being helpful or a good friend. Yeah.
Or polite or constructive or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way you kind of fall into being an active listener.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is not a terrible thing.
It's okay. I've definitely had situations in the past. I at one point lived in an apartment. I had a roommate, which is totally stupid for me. For me, having a roommate equates it's like instead of having an apartment, I have a bedroom, because having someone else there all the time is like it just doesn't feel very good. So it was just like, I just live in my bedroom now. But she had a bunch of people over without asking me. But we were all kind of hanging out outside on the porch, and we were in an apartment. So some of my other neighbors, who were just like this nice older couple, had said hi to us and stuff. And later, after this was all over, I'd been talking to one of them, and they had just been like, you're not like part of that, are you? You weren't really like in that conversation. You're really just kind of like listening. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate of what was going on there. Yeah.
Wow. How did it feel to have somebody point that out?
Honestly, I really liked those people. They were great, and very, very much aware of what was going on, and really perceptive, and I actually appreciated that, because I totally didn't feel like I was part of that conversation, and I was just kind of like listening and like just observing. There we go. And that's what I do a lot. So
do you feel disconnected generally when you're only observing?
It I guess depends on the situation. I don't know if it's disconnected so much as I don't know, like I legitimately don't know how to do anything more than that in those situations. Mm-hmm. And I found that when I have things to say, 90% of the time in any of these situations, I can't say them. I will try and I will get cut off. And if I try more than once, I just eventually, the moment passes and it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because, so we've been friends for a while. And when I first became friends with you, I was always afraid that all I ever did was walk over you, because I'm kind of outgoing, extremely outgoing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's something that I still sometimes have to work about in our friendship. I have to work on it myself, because you've never ever made me feel like I was inappropriate or whatever. But I actually do kind of worry. I'm always like, give her a chance to speak, man. Like, shut your fucking hole, because I talk so much. It's hard.
But I appreciate that, and I don't want to make you feel like you're not doing a good job too. So
good. I was afraid there was a but. It was good.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but it's been difficult being friends with you. I just didn't know how to like cut you out of my life. So,
but finally, I can tell you on this podcast. Goodbye. Yes. That's fair. I understand. I get it. Yeah. But no, that's so. Have you? I mean, this isn't the this is maybe the rule, but there are exceptions, right? Have you been to parties and stuff where you've managed to kind of come out of your shell, or you've managed to meet the right kind of people to where you've been able to have a really good conversation?
I would say that would be an incredible exception, and that has happened But then those people who are way more outgoing than me will drift off, and I'll just be like, okay, I'm alone again. This is weird.
Yeah.
That's my basic problem, is that like I'm one of those people who will like just kind of hang out and have a conversation with someone for, an extended period of time. And mostly that's not what everyone else is doing anywhere.
No, that's hard. I mean, even with my ability to kind of start a conversation with anybody, I will kind of catch myself being a wallflower.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of sit and watch and wish that somebody wanted to hang out with me or talk to me about something.
Yeah.
And I have to like build myself up to go and like talk to somebody and just start a damn conversation.
Yeah.
It can be hard. It can be really hard. And exhausting too, because sometimes I'll be in a social situation and I just like take a big sigh because I'm like, man, I don't want to do all the work.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't they working at it? Why isn't anyone begging me to talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
But I get that. Do you find it's easier to socialize like after you've performed?
Yeah, actually I do. That's like the only time, pretty much. If you talk to me before I play a show, I am really, really reserved and weird. And if you talk to me after, like, I'm pretty okay, at least for like 20 minutes or so. And that's usually, when I have decent conversations. Well, because people come over to me and want to talk to me about stuff too.
Yeah.
So plus I guess just like adrenaline and that kind of stuff helps.
Well, and you break the ice really well, because when you're on stage, I don't know if you are able to acknowledge this or not, but you're actually really charming and funny on stage. I mean, I think you're charming and funny in general, but you and I have like a level of intimacy from being friends for so long. But I mean, I've watched you play quite a bit, and I've been lucky enough to watch you play recently.
Mm-hmm.
And you are able to, when you're up there in between songs and stuff, you're able to make people laugh, and you're able to say things that are at least somewhat relatable, and people acknowledge how relatable they are. You notice that, right? You have to notice that.
I do a better job sometimes than other times. It depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah. But I mean, I've watched you do a good job of working a crowd when I know artists, musicians who wouldn't even try because they were like disappointed in the turnout or whatever.
Well, that's when it's easier, actually.
Is when there's less people?
Well, actually, if there's a lot of people and they're actively listening, it's great. But if there's a small audience and they're actively listening, it's totally good too.
Yeah.
It's about, respecting the amount of people who are there, even if they're just, the other bands or that kid.
Yeah.
That's always there.
That one kid.
I don't even know who that would be. That's not a person.
I was wondering too.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. That's one of my favorite things about watching you play, though, is getting to see your personality kind of shine. Because when you're talking in between songs, it's like a fight. It's almost like fight or flight. Like, you're really good at talking between your songs and connecting with people. And I enjoy that almost as much as you're playing, because I really enjoy seeing you be yourself with, and like, I wanted to say fearlessly, but it's not fearless. If anything, that's part of the charm of when you perform, is how fearful you are. Like, and here's that song. I can't capture it properly. How you are,
Okay.
I mean, I can keep trying to do impressions of you if that's what you want, but
no, that's fine. You did a good job.
Thank you. But no, because so when I've performed, whether it's just whether it's music or it's like just talking, like introducing a movie or something where you get to talk for a few minutes, mm-hmm. I noticed that if there are a whole lot of people, if there's just a crazy amount of people, 100 people or more, they kind of just become one person to some extent, like pragmatically to me. Like, I could just talk to them and I don't feel like I'm talking to any individuals. I feel like I'm just talking to a crowd.
Okay.
But if there's 7 people, then I feel like I'm talking to each of them individually.
I can understand that.
which is not a bad thing. And it's like, that can be really fun and intimate and cool. It just is different. And that one makes me more nervous.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. I'd definitely rather play 2 more people.
Yeah.
It's definitely less nerve-wracking. Yeah.
Well, you know how this is vaguely related, shockingly. You know how I mean, I've always kind of liked pro wrestling. Haven't really been into it in, a decade or more. But occasionally I'll like tune into kind of modern wrestling and see what they're doing. Well, there's this company out of Georgia called NWA, which they've been around since like the 1900s, the National Wrestling Alliance. But Billy Corgan bought it from Smashing Pumpkins.
I did know that.
Yeah, he's a lifelong wrestling fan. What they decided to do is they decided to launch their own NWA TV property, which is, as far as I know, it's exclusively on YouTube. And it gets like 500,000 to 1 million views. And it's called NWA Power. And they went completely old school with it. Instead of doing TV tapings in front of giant audiences and arenas, which they have enough money and enough famous wrestlers to fill an arena occasionally. Instead, they do it in a television studio, which is how the earliest wrestling television was done.
Huh.
Yeah, in the early days of professional wrestling TV, they did what was called studio wrestling, where you'd maybe have 100 people, maybe 150 people in the stands in a TV station. And they would film, say, 3 hours of wrestling and then turn that into, say, 3 or 4 episodes of a wrestling TV show. And the whole purpose of the wrestling TV show was to get the audience interested in the wrestlers to come and see them live, because that was where the real money was.
Right.
So what you'd end up with is this, this TV show where the wrestlers are talking smack, and then there's constantly in between matches plugs where a wrestler says, come and see me fight so-and-so on October 27th at the blah, 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 blah. And they would only put that on the stations in that area. So anyway, I spent a really long time getting to my point, which is I grew up when studio television wrestling was pretty much over.
Right.
So all I ever saw of studio TV wrestling were like clips and snippets from the 1980s. And apparently the reason people yearn for TV studio wrestling is because it's bizarrely intimate.
Huh.
Like they do it all on one big stage. So like there's a ring, and directly behind the ring is an audience. But then to the left and to the right are little sets where they do the interviews and, the talking stuff between matches. So it's all done on the same stage. Yeah. So a wrestler will come and talk to a interviewer. And the interviewer will be like, how do you feel about so-and-so and so-and-so? And an audience member, the audience is only like 100 people or 150 people. An audience member would yell like, you suck. And the wrestler flat out hears it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, crowd growth. And the wrestler would snap back with you think I suck. You're the one who sucks. Atlanta sucks. And then you go back to talking and you're like, but I'd never seen anything like that before. And it kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
Cause it's so intimate. The audience is interrupting his interview and they have to tell like one person to shut up. It's like,
wow.
It's like comedy club wrestling almost. Cause that's the kind of size crowd at a comedy club. You're not going to get a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it blew my mind.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, it just started. They just started doing that. But yeah, I've been watching it, and I'm not hugely into their wrestling show, but I am like, there are some wrestlers who are so much fun to watch in that circumstance where they're directly interacting with the audience like that.
Cool.
Because they're great. I mean, wrestlers are phenomenal show people. They have to be.
Yeah.
So that, you're not going to last if you don't know what to say to somebody who's telling you suck or, heckling you or whatever. Do you ever get heckled?
It's really rare, but I have been. Yeah.
Go on.
And like really rare, like someone like saying that, like play whatever song they want me to play, that kind of stuff.
Play Freebird and I just go like,
shit. Yeah, I can't do that. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, but like nothing serious. Because the shows are generally too small. And if you say you suck, I know who you are. And like, I could be like, I'm really sorry that I suck. And we could talk later about how much you don't want to be here right now.
Let's talk about it right now.
Yeah, like, what don't you like? How can I improve my performance?
Yeah.
What I get more than like heckling is because I'm like conversational between songs, and because my songs are also kind of conversational, people will just feel the need to, at like a pretty decent show, usually people will feel the need to tell me things in between songs. Just be like, I'm going to talk to you for like a couple minutes. And I'm like, okay, this is weird.
It throws you
I'm
off.
like trying to, no, it's like fine, but it's more like, how do I end this? Because I'm still on stage.
Yeah.
And this is weird.
Do you think that, I mean, so one of the reasons is probably you almost never play like bar scene, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Cause I played a lot of bars when I was playing often. Mm-hmm. The cool thing is when you have a full band, you can just be so loud that no one can hear anyone else. So
yes, yeah, I can't do that.
But I was playing once in the Oregon district, the hip part of downtown Dayton, and it was with a full band, but in between songs, there's no stage. We're just on the street, but we're amplified, and we have we have drums and a PA and all this shit. And this drunk guy, moderately drunk, starts yelling stuff right when we finish the song. And I think he yelled to like play something, and I couldn't get him to stop. So the only thing I could think of was to put my mouth like right on the microphone. So I was really, really loud and really like authoritative, and answer all of his heckles with like a godlike loud voice.
Wow.
So I remember him saying like, play whatever. And I'd be like, I can't do that. And I won't do that. And then he would be like, he said something like, say go Bucks. Cause the Buckeyes, like, I guess it was like a Ohio University game was going on or something. So he was like, go Bucks. So I held the microphone like I was like choking the mic to my face so that he couldn't get to it. So I would just be like, I don't know what that is, and I don't care either. You should go away. I don't really want to talk to you. But but it was just like thunderously loud through the PA because my mouth is like right on the microphone.
Yeah.
But I'm not yelling. I'm like talking very, very kind of normal voice tone, but really, really loud. And that was probably my favorite, somewhat obnoxious heckler, because I just at the spur of the moment, I was like, this is the way to deal with him, is just respond to everything he says a billion times louder than him.
I think that's pretty perfect.
Well, eventually he wouldn't go away, so I just had the band start playing really fucking loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he went away. So, but I had somebody yell, "You suck," for real. And I remember I just sighed, and then I said that hurt my feelings, and then I told the band to start playing. And that's what the audience did too. They all went, "Aww."
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's right. I'm manipulative. I made you look like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Do you think you get heckled less because you're a woman?
I don't think so, because I also don't see other people at the shows I'm playing get heckled.
Okay.
But who knows, honestly.
Well, I mean, it may just be that people are more comfortable being impolite to like a weirdo like me as opposed to a weirdo like you. I don't know.
It could be that they're more comfortable with full bands being more impolite to full bands at full band shows.
Yeah.
Because there's more people on stage, so you can say you suck and mean it collectively to all the members of the band, so they can split the shame, as opposed to just like one random person on the stage. Yeah. And then you kind of sound like a jerk. So,
there was a show I was at once. This just made me think of it. There was a show I was at once where a guy very, very much barely heckled the performer.
Oh, I did get heckled one time, but continue.
Oh, yeah? No, tell me. I can finish this later.
No, you can keep talking. I'll remember.
Okay. Well, I was at this show, and I don't want to name the musician because I feel like it would make him look really petty, because he was being really petty. But he was playing an acoustic solo set with a ukulele. And I wasn't playing that show, I don't believe. I think I was just there to support. And when he plays solo with the ukulele, I think he relied too much on trying to be Daniel Johnston.
Okay.
And trying to be like almost almost Asperger's-y honest when that's not really who he is or how he's like.
Yeah.
So he would go on these rambling things between songs, and they didn't really go anywhere. I mean, he was pretty early on in his performance career. I think he just didn't quite have the material together yet. So he would like go on and on and on, and legit, I think he would talk like 3 or 4 minutes and then play for 2 minutes and then talk 3 or 4 minutes.
Wow.
And I wasn't annoyed or anything. But I was kind of like, it's weird that this guy's just talking pretty much his whole set and not like prepared talk.
Yeah.
And one guy in the audience yelled, "Just play." That's not the meanest heckle in the world, right? I mean,
I've totally gotten that before too. That's definitely a common heckle now that I'm thinking about it.
Well, what happened after that was neither he nor the band that played after him would let that go. They were like really upset that guy said just play. And they kept bringing it up throughout the night, whether it was on stage or like hanging out between sets. To the point where they kept changing it to the point where it became that the guy said just fucking play, but he didn't. He said just play. Mm-hmm. And when they played, he was happy. I guess he was there to listen to music. But like, I just remember they were so angry and they kept using it for material, but they kept like, as they kept going through the night, they kept repeating it as just fucking play. Yeah, just fucking play. And I was like, you guys were not abused by the audience tonight. I don't know why you're so addicted to this idea that the audience really tried to take you down a notch.
Yeah. I just want to hear your music.
I mean, it was not polite to yell just play.
No.
But it's like the most impolite way to be like, I'm here for your music.
Yeah.
So it was really, really strange. But I just remember they like really held on to that.
So, I mean, did they like keep just being like, and it's really rude to tell someone to just play, or like, what were they doing?
They were like yelling it at each other.
Oh, okay.
That was like one of the things they were doing. Like they would talk for a minute between them and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, just fucking play." And they'd start playing. And I was like, my God, it's like you guys were victims of a hate crime. And now you've got to bring it up to keep awareness live. Like,
it's hard.
They're middle class white kids. Like it happens that they need to like that's what they hang on to. I mean, I was kicked in the nuts by a woman while I was performing once, and I've only brought it up like a handful of times. I'm glad you remember that, but I'm so sad you weren't there.
Yeah, me too. I don't know.
But no, I feel like I could talk about that, but there's not much to say. I was playing at a club where there was no stage, so you're on the dance floor. She kicked me in the nuts. She was drunk. She thought it was funny. She thought she was being funny. And the only thing that I can really say about it that made me mad was they didn't kick her out. Like I was demanding they throw her out and they wouldn't.
It's because you're not important, I guess.
I guess so. I mean, that's fair. So, but that was the only part that made me mad. But I actually it's funny because as I think about it, I think I only talked about it for 2 or 3 shows, and then I forgot all about the night I was kicked in the nuts. Although I did come up with a great joke from it, which is I said like it's a tall tale. It's going to grow and grow and grow. Eventually, it'll be one night. Henrique was 16 women kicked Henrique in 15 testicles. The Paul Bunyan of getting kicked in the nuts on stage.
Thanks for listening. You can email us at thisshowIsAwkward@gmail.com or go to awkwardshow.com or whatever. See you next time.